All right, let's get our first question right here, Mr. L.A. Gonzalez.
I have a question for. That's good.
Who?
I have a question for Josh and Brian on service events. This year to free up a lot more time, I'm doing my first service events. Are going really well, but I only have like 1,200 clients. So what I'm doing is every single anyone that says they have Cutco, I'm like chasing them down. Like we're doing sharpening, and I'm direct scheduling these people at the booth. I know Brian, you said that the number's a little lower with that, and that's what I experienced, a 57% completion percentage. I know Josh, I've asked you on how to get that higher with like framing, but I'm curious, like what would be like your best tips and practices to get to the 70% completion or higher?
Yeah, so are we good? Okay, perfect. So just quick thought, and I'll throw it over to Josh, and actually everyone might have thoughts on this. But when it comes to the conversion rate, the framing matters and your messaging matters. Like getting the that reminder text, like they need to be coming out a solid 24 hours in advance. Like some people send the reminders the morning of. It's too late if they already scheduled over you. They're just not going to come. But I think the framing in the booth matters even more. I'm not negative on direct scheduling. It just doesn't work for my business the way that I operate with it. But I think if you are going to direct schedule, you need to take seriously that you have to build a lot of value, a lot of urgency in that. And so that way you're not wasting those slots effectively. But I'll just give one last thought. For me, if I have 100 customers within a geographic area, honestly, I feel like I could probably come close to a day there. Maybe it's 150, but I really think I could pull off a day of service events. And if I have a show in a recent time before that, I think I probably could pull off 2, because I know I can get 2 to 3 quality leads in a day at a show. And even if I sold to them, I don't need to wait. I'm really good at my job. I'll go see them again and just sell them more. Or I'll make them happy and I'll just lock them in that I'm their Cutco person for life.
Yeah, I think the only thing I'd add to that is really simple, that there's 2 main schools of thought. One is don't direct schedule, the other and like put them on a leads list and then contact them, and give yourself enough runway to get that done and still get your service event filled. The other one is only direct schedule, and to me it's not like either or, it's how do I make both work, like the both and approach. And so I think that I love to ask a question like, hey, I'm just curious, do you ever set your schedule in advance? And if their answer is yes, they're typically busy people who, if they put it in their calendar, then they're going to be there. And so, so then I will offer to direct schedule with them, but give them the option of, hey, I can reach out to you after the event is over and get you scheduled then, or we can get you scheduled right now and just get this checked off the list. And then if they do choose to schedule because they decide that's what's best for them, I just really do a good job firming it up and making sure they understand the importance of this and just helping them understand that, like, hey, just so you know, we have hundreds of clients in the area and we have a whole line of people who are waiting to get their knives serviced, but we're prioritizing our preferred clients who sign up for sharpening here at this event. And so I just want to make sure and double check that there's nothing that could get in the way of this and have you either no call, no show this, or cancel it last minute. And if they're like, no, I'm good, I'm like, great. If they're like, if they have even a hesitation, I will dig in on that and I'll do a Brandon Brown and get curious and understand it better. And then I'll just rebuild the value of like, well, what's more important here for you? Maybe we shouldn't do this now and we should follow up on this later, because what I don't want to do is I don't want you to take up a spot and then not show up and have another customer who's waiting to get their knife sharpened miss out on that spot. Because, again, I'm only here once or twice a year, and every spot that goes unfilled, that's a spot that someone else could have had, and I'm spending a lot of money and a lot of time to make this service available for our clients. And so I want to make sure that we get you taken care of at the time that works best for you. So it's really about the customer and what's in their best interest, and just framing towards that versus making it all about me.
Yeah, my question for Luciano. So I know that you talked about, and I think a few people mentioned this over the past yesterday and today, with doing a full demo every single time, especially people that walk up and say, hey, I just want one piece or a couple pieces, things like that. When it comes to like an 8 to 10 hour plus show, how do you manage your energy with doing a full demo every time for even the single pieces, which may still end up in a single piece sale?
Yeah, I think for me, it's just having that mental fortitude of just like, again, we've heard it all the last couple of days of, the person in front of you, focus on that, focus on the person in front of you. There's always going to be other people walking by, and it's like, it's easy to be like, oh, well, like, this person only wants a knife, and like, I'm just going to hurry up and get them out of here, because this person looks like money. So it's like, they're in front of you now, so again, maximizing that person, because there's been so many times when they're, they come up for one knife, like I said, that story, and it turns into what it turned into because of me, continuing to work with that person. And yeah, so I don't know, does that answer your question? What was the?
Here. All right. Curtis.
So the thing is that you have to realize that when you're working a long event, you shouldn't be putting out a lot of energy out to people that are not potentially going to buy, right? So what he's trying to say is that if you have a person that's in front of you, give them all the energy that you can, and then reserve that so that when it's not your turn or when you're waiting for the next person, you're not constantly looking and like wasting your time and energy to try to like pull someone in. Like your main energy should be flown into the person that's in front of you, so that you're not drastically being drained by all the other things that are happening around the booth, right? Because you guys know when it's busy and it's, hey, how are you? Hey, look over here. Hey, you know what I mean? That's very like draining. So what he's saying is just wait when they come up, find out what it is, and then really nail them and give them that energy then.
Yeah, and the other thing too is like as you're doing the demo, it's like you're gonna get like, you're asking soft closing questions, so you're gonna know if they're not interested throughout. You're not just like doing a demo just to do it for fun. And they're like, oh, cool, thanks, see ya. Like, no, like throughout it, like, do you see yourself at some point replacing this? Like, if you did this, would it be white or black? And it's like you're getting these like soft closing questions, as you're doing it. So.
Hey, Luch, it's Bert.
Hey, Bert.
Hey, buddy. So we did elevator pitches yesterday on like what your like intro on this or this. I know you have just a amazing power intro into your Cutco Kitchen demo. Would you mind just giving us like maybe like the 2 or 3 minute, just drop it on the table power intro, because not everybody's going to be, including myself, able to be at your round table?
Sure. So yeah, it's kind of what I did earlier. So yeah, you familiar with Cutco? Cutco's an American kitchen company. It's funny, people don't realize we actually our cookware's been around for over 100 years. It's nice, it's 5 layers thick, so you get even heat distribution, but there's no chemical coating on there. Then we got famous for our knives in the 40s. We actually rated the world's sharpest knives by History Channel because of how long it holds an edge. We also make one of the last USA-made spoons and forks, and this is cool because it's 100% dishwasher proof, doesn't rust and tarnish. We also make a variety of kitchen gadgets and accessories. Cutco, what's made us famous is our forever warranty, so everything we make is warranted forever, which means if you ever break anything, chip it, crack it, dull it, no matter what happens, we replace it for you totally free. So most people know us as a knife company, but we've now become kind of like a mini kitchen remodel company. So that's kind of like the quick version, and then at that point it's like, for you guys, are you more curious about our knives, silverware, pots and pans, or kind of like a little bit of everything? And then let them kind of steer the conversation, like where it's, from there you'll know what to talk about. Yeah, that's like quick dirty version.
Josh has a question.
Curtis, I have a question that piggybacks on that. So something I learned from you a couple years ago at a roundtable in our state fair meeting was just the power of the personal power intro. So would you mind also sharing what you say to position yourself in the beginning as someone that people actually might want to listen to, and also to help them understand why, if you're just here to like kick tires and waste time, maybe I'm not the person you want to talk to right now.
So what Josh is saying is that you guys have your power intro when you guys are meeting someone at the booth. My power intro is a little bit different now. My power introduces them to who I am, what I'm doing, what I'm creating, and where we're going. That way that they know who I am from the very beginning. So are you familiar with Cutco? No? Okay, great. Well, just so you know a little bit about Cutco, it's 100% made here in America. It's guaranteed. You guys know that normal thing there. What I do is I change it up. I'm like, are you familiar with our product? They say no. Okay, great. Can I tell you a little bit about it and who I am and what we're doing here at the show? And then they're like, yes. Well, just so you know who I am, so you don't think I'm just some random guy that's standing behind the booth selling knives. My name's Curtis. I've been the guy that's been selling here for the last 18 years. The thing that I personally, professionally show my customers is what works best in their kitchen, what they need, and how they're going to use it. The other thing that's nice about me being here at the booth is I'm going to be able to go over all of our products so that you get the right product for your kitchen. Now, the great thing about Cutco is since it's 100% made here in America and it's guaranteed forever, and then I go right into the demo. So the power intro is me first, what I'm doing, what I can provide, and how we as a company work.
I have a question for Brian about service events. Yeah, I just wanted to know what kind of success y'all have had. I know you were saying that some reps will do it at like the pilot office and stuff like that, physical offices, but also with malls and just anywhere else besides a conference room. If you have any like statistics or how y'all have done in general with that, with different places.
Yeah, for sure. I think service events are an area that can lend itself to some creativity. I do want to toe the line, though, and say make sure you're being communicative if you're doing this in a mall or a retail setting. Some of them may not be comfortable with knives coming in. That's true with home shows as well. So if that is something you're trying to market and advertise to your customers, make sure you're doing your due diligence and working with your coordinator to talk to the promoters. The last thing we want to do is jeopardize a relationship with a good promoter at a lot of home shows because they didn't know we were going to have customers bringing them in, experiences and expectations don't align, and that could be a problem. But outside of that, I think there's a tremendous opportunity there. You know, when we do it in some of the district offices, for example, we just kind of try to walk the room like a customer. And you know, God bless vector offices, they're vectorized. Okay, so like if there's some stuff that's really weird or intense, we'll throw up a backdrop on a wall just to sort of like cover something if it's a little over the top. But as long as it's reasonably professional, I think it's fine. What matters more is just like parking. Is it easy to locate within the building? By the way, I've heard of some CGC reps literally doing the sharpening at the like realtor offices and drawing people in, and like they get fired up because anytime foot traffic comes in their office, they're excited. A couple of my business gift clients that I have done, you know, orders where they bought like 52-piece sets, part of my value proposition is, hey, next year I'm going to be excited to come back and I'm going to do free sharpening for all your employees. We'll do it on site. And they get really fired up about that. And that's a tremendous opportunity for me now to capture all those people's information because they've given all this Cutco away, but those people are not in my CRM. They're not in my advertising. And so just by being creative and open, that's a great sales opportunity. It's a great opportunity to capture more information, and it's a great value add for my business gift clients. So honestly, I think anything can work. I really honestly believe that. Just make sure that you're being communicative if it could in any way possibly negatively impact. Because like the promoter doesn't make the rules for the convention center the show is in, for example, and you just don't want to step in any landmines with something like that. But otherwise, honestly, I think the sky's the limit.
So I have a question for Curtis. So Curtis, I know you went over a lot about like value shoppers, price positioning, getting people out of the price shopper mindset. How do you deal with those people that come up to the booth, like, how much is this? Oh, I found it cheaper at Costco, or I buy Cutco at yard sales or thrift stores, like those kinds of super price shoppers. What kind of phrasing or positioning do you do to kind of get them out of that mindset?
So if they're a Costco member, that just don't be shocked by that. Go, oh, well, why didn't you tell me you're a Costco member? We have exclusive discounts going on here at the show for our Costco members. All you had to do is tell me that you're a Costco member and we'll match the price or show you other packages that they don't have at Costco. So the thing is that when you hear Costco, those people are the best clients because they're finding an excuse of why we're not selling to them there and why they should buy at Costco. The other thing too is with Costco members, you got to remember you have to talk to them as if they were buying at Costco. Now, the cool thing about you buying at Costco is you have to pay for it all at once, whereas here we allow you to split it up in interest-free payments. That way you can get it right away and pay it off slowly, so you're actually not out the $1,200 right away. The other cool thing about here is that we have some special pieces that only our booth will sell you, because as you know, with Costco, they only sell 15 items. We have 196 items here at the show. But now that I know that you're a Costco member, I would love to give you the Costco discounts and go through that with you as well. So there's your Costco. If it's someone that's garage sales and stuff like that, well, that's a different story.
So, you know, one of the things that I do with people who are, you know, thrift store, garage sale, estate sale shoppers is I just let them tell their story. And I go, oh, wow, okay, cool. Yeah, hey, you know what? That was a really great find. Yeah, wow, that's amazing. Holy crap. Like, by the way, like you found something very rare, and that's definitely not common, right? And then you'll notice they kind of connect with that and they start to nod. And I go, plus, you've probably noticed that all the things you find at thrift stores or at estate sales are things that are like all of our oldest products, all of our least popular products. And actually, you're rarely, I've never seen any of our newer customer favorites and customer requested items sold in those environments. In fact, all my customers tell me about how the knives they find are from the 50s and 60s, and very rarely from like last year or the last 10 years of all of our new products. And so I just try to redirect them into the buying atmosphere of all of our new stuff, right? And how all of our new stuff is actually our most popular, most sold, like most valuable items. And that's why those are the pieces that people don't let go at those types of environments, because they love those pieces more. And so, you know, that's why they buy them here from us at the shows at discounts and stuff like that.
Quick
My
open.
answer is have a good day, sir.
Quick open question. What do you do with a customer who doesn't stop talking? You're not sure if they're going to buy or not, and they really just want you to listen to them, and yeah.
You know, for me, it's really just I just get a little bit more direct with my qualifying questions. So, hey, I'm just curious, like, if I could help you find something today that you used every day, loved, and had for the rest of your life, would you be open to looking at getting some Cutco while you're here today? And then, you know, that question tells a lot, right? The answers to that question. The other thing I'll ask is like, hey, is there anything specific that you're looking for or that you need help with today? Because that's what I'm here to do, is help you with that. And if, you know, if I get like 2 or 3 of those types of questions and the answers are all no's, like they'll be very honest with me, and I'll just be like, cool, hey, by the way, if you have any specific questions, feel free to let me know. I'm happy to answer them for you. Feel free to browse around, because I don't mind them being around the booth, right? Because the more, like Curtis always says, it's like moths to a flame, right? The more people are at the booth, actually, the more people come to the booth. And so it draws other people in, but I'm also very direct with them about like, hey, cool, just so you know, if you have any questions, I'm happy to talk to you. I appreciate the stories and stuff. But if somebody does walk up that does need something, I'm going to need to help them out. So I just set that expectation up front, and then I'm not like mean or rude or like, you know, disrespectful about it. I try to maintain the professionalism, the world-class image of Cutco. But then also when that person does walk up, I'll be like, oh, hey, sir, thank you so much for your time. I'm going to go help them out now. And I just step away from them and go help the next person out. And then they're not upset about it. They're not offended by it, because I asked the qualifying questions and they answered them the wrong way. And so now they can leave, and I'm going to be very polite about that. So and I can transition to the next customer and not feel bad about it, and they won't feel bad either. If they do, they're weird.
Curtis Wine did it last week.
So I'm going to add to that. If you have a customer that keeps talking, and you're like, okay, whatever, ask this one simple question. Hey, sir, quick question for you. Is there something specifically you're looking for? Is there something that you want? Or is there something that you need from the booth? Because they're going to tell you exactly what it is. Well, I'm just looking. Okay, great. What are you looking for? Well, nothing. Okay, great. Well, I'm here selling. So if you find something that you want, let me know, and I'll help you out with that. You know what I mean? And it's a joke, right? Like, I'm just looking. I'm just selling. You know what I mean? And then they look at you, and they're like, oh, okay. Like, they get it at that moment. So it goes with what Josh is doing. But most of the time, they'll say, I'm looking. Okay, what are you looking specifically for? Well, I'm looking for a chopping knife. Okay, great. Here's our chopping knives. What type of chopping knife are you looking for? One that does this, 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 or that. Then what you do is you stop them from talking, and then you take control of that conversation. And then what you do is then you go from there. And if they're like, oh, well, we need, okay, well, what do you need? Have you ever thought about this is the place, this is the product, this is the thing that you need? Or are you just telling me that that's something that you need and that you're just looking for it, right? It's easier for you to break it down when you know if they're looking, wanting, or needing something, and then you can direct them, take control of that, and then they'll stop talking, and then they'll allow you to do the work. So.
All right. Is this on? Can you hear me? Okay. All right. My question is I know all y'all do service events, so whoever wants to answer this question is fine. What do you feel is like an appropriate amount of time to do service events, and like the gaps and how many service events you can do in a certain area? So for example, if you have, like, let's say, Brian, you live in Dallas, would just fall on spring be just enough? Or is it like, if you do like every 2 months, is that too much? Like, what's the amount that's good in order for you to not get customers to say, I'll just go to the next one. I'll just go to the next one.
Yeah, so I think that's a great question. I think it largely has more to do with the size of your clientele than it actually does how often you're in the market. But that's where you need to pay attention, and it might be as simple as saying, because there is a fatigue. You don't want service events to become an entitlement, because then it's very hard to create urgency booking them. If they feel you're here all the time, then they're like, okay, whatever, I didn't catch you this time, I'll see you next time. But it could be as simple as if I had a large clientele in San Antonio, go in your CRM and only send your marketing messages out, like export it out to like 3 zips. And then literally 2 months from now, you do it to 3 more. So functionally, no one person is getting more than about 2 waves worth of marketing a year. But by doing them more frequently, if that's your primary market, you still have the inventory of shifts available for contacts you're getting at shows and new leads.
Perfect. Thank you.
What's up? This is Vernon B. Williams V. The B stands for beautiful. How you doing? This could be for either Curtis or Lucci. Based on when the question is, how do you just price position a kitchen when you're pitching it?
Yeah, so for me, I think I am the kind of person, like, I have the price up front always so they can see it. And I'm not afraid to talk about it. I'm always waiting for them to, like, put their, like, eyes on the, like, I want them to see it. So I'm doing everything I can. Like, if they're not looking at it, I'm trying to be like, yeah, like, and like pointing down at that, because I want them to see it, and I want to get that, like, oh shit, like, moment of, like, how much? And then kind of from there, then it's like, hey, yeah, totally, it's definitely not a small amount of money. People spend this much on kitchens all the time, like countertops, cabinets. But you're gonna move and you're gonna have to do it all over again. Like, at least with this, you're gonna literally use it every single day for the rest of your life, and your kids are gonna inherit it one day. So it's like handling that, like, upfront and quick, so that they see it, and they, again, you don't want to wait till later on. You're doing the demo and it's like you tell them the price and then it's like, oh wow. So at least that's how I do it.
So with my price positioning, it's similar to that. But what I do is, before I go into closing the set, I'll go, now, is there anything else that you know that you need in your kitchen? Do you need new flatware? Do you need new cookware? And the reason why I ask that is because a lot of times people will buy the set of knives from me, go around the corner and see a cookware demonstration, and then they'll come back the next year and go, oh, I didn't know you had cookware. I bought it from them. And I don't want you to do that when we have it all here. That's why we're a kitchen company. So before I show you the price, is there anything else that you would like to see so I could show you a package deal? And then the customers are like, okay. And I'm like, now, yes, I joked earlier that our package deals start around $14,000, but trust me, we're not going to be anywhere near that. And then they're like, okay. And I'm like, remember, we have everything here on discount, especially when you're buying in bulk. So that's why people like to add on their cookware and their flatware and just do their Cutco kitchen. And as you go, just know my backdrop, it says Cutco kitchen. And I'm like, you could be one of our Cutco kitchen people and just get it over with. Then you're going to get more of those people that'll tell you, yeah, we just lost our home. Yeah, we just did this. Yeah, we just buying a new home. We just moved here from California. We want to just set up our whole kitchen. And by asking that before you go into the price of it, you're going to get a lot more packages and a lot more people asking about it, because they're like, yeah, we do need cookware. Tell us about your cookware. And then you go into that, and then you're like, okay, so do you want to be one of our Cutco kitchen customers, or you just want to do the cookware and the knife package deal? And they're like, just show me that. Or they'll go, yeah, just show us the kitchen. We'll start there. And then I go, we can start there, and we can take things off as we go. And then that way we find the right price that fits perfect for you. And then go that way.
All right.
Brandon Phillips. My question's for Josh, actually. You told us about losing your brother and then having to make the decision if you were ready to go and work that event. What are some of the questions that you ask yourself to decide, like, am I in a good space to do it, or if I'm not? And when you talk about compartmentalization, is it just like an on-off switch for you, or is it checking in with yourself throughout the day?
Yeah, great question. I really appreciate this. So I think the biggest, the question that answered it all for me was, what would my little brother want me to do? So putting myself in his shoes and thinking through, like, not what I'm dealing with and making it about me, but making it about him, and kind of what would his highest wish be for me if he was here. He would have told me, knowing my little brother, no, man, like, go work and do your thing, and, like, I'm good. So, like, that was, that brought me a lot of peace and helped me really navigate that decision-making process very quickly and also very confidently. And then I think throughout the day, like, it's definitely a throughout the day kind of thing. Because, you know, I mean, I had a customer who, like, there was just a moment during that shift where on a busy Saturday where I had a customer that was like, you know, I was like, hey, how's your year been? She's like, honestly, it's been really rough. And I was like, oh, really? What's going on? And I like to dig in on that and, like, connect with people on that. And she was like, yeah, I lost my sister in a car accident, like, last month. And I just was like, oh, shit. You know, and, like, I had just lost my little brother in a motorcycle accident the week before. And so I was like, okay, well, I get it. Sucks. Like, here's what happened to me. And it created a connection moment for us. And what's funny is that turned into a $3,000 order at the booth that day. But, like, you know, it was a moment where I had to collect myself, you know, before, during, and after. And so I think it's just important to, like, be open to the idea of, like, having that moment, and then also just checking in and being like, okay, what do I need right now to be able to step up to my highest standard and be the best that I can be right now? And sometimes that's like, you know, I had to turn to Brian and be like, you know, and he's like, yeah, I get it. And I'm like, yeah. And then, you know, sometimes it was take a walk. Sometimes it was, you know, just send a text out of appreciation, you know, things like that. But I think that if you do a good job, like, giving yourself the space to feel what you're feeling and giving yourself the space to, you know, kind of process whatever challenge it is. For me, it was that challenge specifically, but there's a million challenges that have happened over the last 21 plus years. And so just allowing yourself permission and space to go through what you need to go through, but learning how to do that effectively and efficiently. And I like to ask reflection questions of, like, I love the question, like, if I was talking to the best version of myself from the future, what would they tell me or advise me to do right now, right? And just kind of picturing outside of myself, my best version, what would be the advice that my best self would give me? And, like, answering that honestly, and oftentimes that'll give you the best answer on what to do next. So, and then also creating the space and time outside of the event to do what you need to do to process that. So, like, I immediately, when my brother passed, I started researching the stages of grief. I started looking up resources online to help me understand how to process those stages, what the signs of those stages are, and things like that. So, you know, go to outside sources. Don't always put the pressure on yourself to figure it all out on your own, right? Ask for help when you need it. You know, in that moment, I was able to really collaborate and corral my support system around me, and they showed up in a really big way for me, which I'm super grateful for. So, like, if you don't have that now, you got to ask yourself, like, what does that look like? Who are those people? Who would I want in my front row? And like, when that moment comes, because it will inevitably come, when it does, you want to be in the position to be able to call on that, right? Not be in a position where you're like, oh crap, I've been drowning for months and, like, ignoring it, and now, like, the ship is sinking and I have to do something about it, but there's literally nobody in sight, right? Yeah.
I just want to piggyback one other quick thing on that. All of us have had our challenges and trauma. It's just part of the human experience. Many years ago, my dad passed away 3 days into the SC2 push, which, you know, may seem trivial, but to managers, that's our state fair. That's the big time for us. And my division manager, John Carpenter, sat me down, and I didn't have any great questions asked myself. I'm not as introspective as Josh is, but he just said, you know, Brian, some people need to take time away so they can process and feel what they need to. He goes, but some people, when they do that, they drown, and it's better for them to immerse themselves in positive routines with people who care about them. And I just want you to know whichever works better for you is okay. And we're just here for you. And by the way, that's when they got me. Like, that conversation made me a Vector lifer. So I think part of it is just find the people you trust and you know love you, and let them help speak into that experience too.
My name's Can you hear me? My name's Stephen Hunt. I'm with the Lone Star Dogs. I had a question that was open to anybody, but directed to Josh. When it comes to handling emotions behind the booth, in direct regard with CPO breath, how do you handle those emotions when you're trying to hit a goal, it's slow, you have bills to pay, and you're just feeling the pressure?
Yeah, great question. First of all, do appointments before the show. So if you get into profit before the show even starts, then what you sell at the show and how much you're spending to be there doesn't matter as much anymore, right? So that's the best thing that you can do, especially if you're up and coming in the events program and you're still developing the skill sets. Even those of you that are long-term veterans who maybe you're leaning on shows a little bit too much, or more than you could be doing more things, but you're choosing not to because shows are the easy thing to do. Challenge yourself, raise your standard. Because, the more you serve your customers in the days leading up to the event, the more positive you're gonna feel about your business, about your long-term future, your vision, your stability, your profitability, all that stuff. So when you get to that event, you're on your A game. You're not going to that event to start your A game and hope things work out, because hope is not a strategy, right? So that's one thing. I think the second thing is actions versus results focus. So if you catch yourself in commission breath or CPO breath mindset, it's because more often than not, you're focused on results and not on actions. And Jess Miser shared something after the Great Big Home and Garden Show that he worked, which is the largest home and garden show in the nation. It's the reason that Jess, Rob Robincheck, Mike Tortora, Kevin Connor, and multiple other top CSPs are not here right now because they're actually working that event. And Rob's had multiple 10K days this week already, just working that event. But what Jess shared was, a quick story I'll share about his experience on the last Saturday of the event last year, where it was 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and he was at less than 1,000. Everybody else was over 3-4 grand for the day, or 5 or more. And he was just all up in his head about it. And he's like, you know what? I just checked myself. I said, I'm going to take a walk. He walked around, said hi to all the other booths, went outside really quick, came back inside, and he just said to himself, CPO and time are not related. And anything can happen. It only takes one, right? And he just checked his mindset, went back in the booth, and then funny thing is, in the last 4 hours of the event, closed a Siggy with steaks with flatware, a legacy cookware set, an Alti with steaks, and then another package deal for $3 grand. He ended up the day at $14,000, had his best day at the booth of his career, and was the #1 guy of all 8 people that were working, or 10 people that were working the event that day. And he did that in 3 hours. So just understanding that hey, it's not about how much I've sold so far or not, it's about how I'm showing up for every customer, and focus on the actions of doing your best with every client, and just understand that your best is relative from day to day, from event to event, from month to month, from campaign to campaign. We're not always, the best of me today is maybe different from the best of me next month or last month, and that's okay, because that's just kind of how things flow based on circumstances around me. But as long as I'm doing my best today, as long as I can look back at the end of the day and say, hey, you know what? I showed up, I did my best. It sucks I had 8 single piece orders on a Saturday because that wasn't my intention, but I'm super grateful for all of those because every order counts. And I also am proud of the fact that I closed those 2 homemakers that I closed, right? Because that saved my day that day. And just the last thing I'll share, and I'll give the mic back to Carlton here, but is sometimes we set the celebration bar way too high because our standards are high. And I would challenge you to detach your celebration bar from your standards bar. They're 2 separate bars. It's okay to have high standards, but it's okay to celebrate every order. So like I keep the celebration bar like as close to the floor as possible, and every order counts. Every cutting board I sell, every Cutco kitchen I sell, right? Every sheath I sell. Yeah. I sold more sheaths in January, individual sheath orders, than I think I've sold individual sheath orders in the last like 3 years combined. I don't know why, but I'm grateful because I made 50% on all those sheaths. So.
Last question, folks. Last question.
I guess I've got the last one. So kind of a weird question for Curtis. My fair and show coordinator has explicitly disallowed us doing the CTR bonus or discount on individual knives. Are there other ways you would recommend of making people feel special to get something like, that's not just the website pricing?
Well, whoever your coordinator is, tell them to come talk to me. Because last I knew, you're a 1099 and they can't tell you what to do. Okay? But I will tell you, yes, there's standard set protocols and stuff that teams have. If your team is strictly on full retail value, what I would tell you to do is that it doesn't matter. Like, I wouldn't even tell your coordinator that you're taking $3 off on the knife, okay? Because at the end of the day, it's your customer, it's your commission account. So to be honest with you, that's pretty much all I'm gonna say. But if you want that customer to feel special, you guys gotta remember that when we drop it by $3, my goal is not to sell them that one paring knife for the $3 discount. Okay, my goal is to get them interested in the discount and what's going on at the booth so that I can do a 3-piece, 5-piece, 7-piece upgrade. That is just so that we can set the precedent right away that our prices are good here at the show. But what it is it's just a pathway for me to sell you more. So just have that in the back of your mind. We're not a piece company, but if they're a stickler about it, charge your rep account and tell them to, yeah.
GG's. Amazing.